Team, how are we going? It is Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz. Yes, I'm sore, and yes, I'm still sick. That's what it's about. Tonight's about roles, relationships, and the rank that you might want to be in or consider before going down the enlistment path. Thinking, I want to be an officer. Okay. Or do I want to be an enlisted soldier and be amongst the pack? We're going to be talking about these things tonight so that you can look at what do you want your next potential 40 years to look like when you're wearing the uniform, preparing for war, regardless of CORP, that's a T-shirt, so that you don't waste your time or anyone else's, because you don't get to really run it back. Okay. What does leadership mean? What is a leader? What is a woman? Spectacles of wisdom. I know this looks very homosexual. This screensaver here with this gentleman who's thoroughly listening to what I've got to say. Boy, how's the sound going, team? I left Kapooka in 3 weeks today. I'm so keen. Here we go. Where is it? We've got a bunch of people. Dan, not the J, the bomb system. Mate, these are the sort of things you should be listening into, okay, and learning those little bits of information that you cannot find on Google. You can only find here under Kaz, In the Trenches with Kaz. Subscribe right now if this is your first time here. I am the coach. And what makes me a perfect coach is not just the fact that I was born on Anzac Day, not just the fact that my daughter's born on Remembrance Day, or that my father's Vietnam veteran. For 28 years, he served in the Australian military. Then I followed on for another 24 years, even did a stint for 2 years before I joined in Army Reserves, so I'd know what that was like 25 years later. But it's because now I've had 9 years out of the uniform and I'm able to allow all of the emotion, all of the biases of cause, etc., to fall away and be able to deliver to you information that is about you. Your needs, not my needs, not Army's needs. That's why I'm here right now. If you need more, look in comments and you will find remarks, below, and you'll find the bat phone where you can come and be part of a one-on-one coaching service for you. Answer your questions directly, to prepare you and give you an outside edge on being the best soldier, the best NCO, or the best officer you can be as the Officer Selection Board. So do that. Do yourself a favour for the price of a coffee a month. If you don't do it, it's all on you. I can't drag you to water. Corona, C2. Hey, mate, think we all got COVID. Scotty feeling like shit as well. Yeah, mate, it seems to be going around. Good evening, D. That's a man, not a lady. It's not my ex-missus. We've got Venom here. Jaden, some mate, love Sharma, Lovey. We love you too, mate. He's a fella. That's his real name, and he's going for Army Reserve. We've got Cass here. We're always lucky to have Cass, teacher, servant of the nation. We've got Latch here as a new member. I like that. Every door needs a latch. That's how you get in. Can we get some thanks to the new member? Open hand salute here because I'm an NCO. There you go. Always right-handed. He wears his medals on the left. Latchy, great to have you here. Ask us a question, please, sir. D, totally agree with you. Carl P. A manager is not a leader. Correct. A manager is different to a leader. A manager is normally civilian roles that is there as an appointment of education, etc., but doesn't necessarily have leadership capabilities. A leader is someone who I believe that you go to as peers. If we were to put hypothetically 10 people in a room, present a problem, give them an hour, who do the people choose to be their advocate, their leader by choice to follow for some sort of mission resolution, okay, without any supervision or instruction from a higher authority? That means leadership. You'll normally see people gravitate towards that in all your sports teams, at school. Look at Nathan Cleary, an absolute leader. Look at Jonathan Thurston, an absolute leader, one of the smallest guys on the field, yet followed explicitly by those that could clean his clock any day of the week. But they do it because they know that he is a leader. He does it out of excellence. So when you look at an officer in the Australian Army, Air Force, or Navy, one of the things that's mostly missing is leadership these days from officers. But what you should be looking for is excellence. Someone that you would willingly follow, even if they didn't have that rank. Even if you do have all of the um, all of the experience, all of the know-how, all the qualifications. There is something about this person. I need them within this corporate branch that allows a breath of fresh air and excellence to come in to motivate and show the standard. Yeah, they don't have to have all of the qualifications, but they do have to have the answers and the strong moral courage. If you don't have that, you're not a leader. Because leading with moral courage means making decisions that are not basically, what would you call it? Not necessarily appreciative, but they're not the safe choice. They're something to say that you like something, or you stand for this, or I'm going to put my foot down on that on my watch. That's not going to occur. No, or I follow Donald Trump, and then get attacked from the left. Or I don't like welcome to fucking country in Australia, and I'll never stand for that because I'm born here. I've worn a uniform for it. I will not stand in a nation that tells us we're racist, yet one man can stand in front of 80,000 people and make them stand to be welcome to country that they were born in. No one should ever stand to welcome to country unless you weren't from here. That would make sense. But if you were born in Australia, you're as Australian as everyone else is here. You don't have to say thank you to anyone or sorry to anyone. Frankly, chaotic. That's a great name too. You're going to get the salute there, Venom. Double salute, 300, one less for the person that probably rolled their ankle on the route march to Thermopylae. Frankly, chaotic. What do we got? Become a YouTube member. Thank you very much, mate. To you, welcome to the army. You are now a digger. You don't get to join as a member, as an officer. I've never made that open. There you go. Latch. My old username was Lachlan. Lachlan, words twice, coming up on 3 years subbed. Appreciate the content as always. That's great to know there, Latch. Every door needs you to help us keep it closed from the wrong people getting in. Oh, we've got Ozanon up here. What do you got to say, my man? Kaz got a call from the CMA saying that they received my application transfer, but not the form I filled out saying that I want to transfer to. That's not the epitome of army bad at admin. Yeah, that my belief is that to free up more people for combat roles, I think it's time to roll over a lot of the roles we have in the military now, that we can be completely separated from the battlefield with APS members that are there, that are tip-top at administration. And there should also be two. There used to be two slaves with every section, every contubernium of infantry of 8 men in Rome. And they had two slaves for administration, cooking, and tent cleaning, etc. Every platoon should have 1 or 2 clerical people that do all of the paperwork, so the platoon sergeant is just signing off on things. The platoon sergeant should be where he goes with his experience, to be the authoritarian and the senior soldier to make sure the soldiers are the best version of himself. But he's not just there to crack the whip, he's also there to say to people, that's enough. These guys are about to go outfield for 6 weeks. Give them some time off. Give them some family time. Speak from the perspective of a family man who's got life balance for his soldiers and looks after them mentally as well as physically. What happened here? It's Buckaroony from up north. Good news, so the Army's finally getting offensive drones called the Switchblade 300. About bloody time. That's probably why DRO, which is a company that I'm invested in on the stock market, is going up in value so quickly. There you go. Switchblade. I love the name of that. Thank you very much. We'll get into the actual topic of tonight in a second, team. Remy Jarvis. Hi, Kaz. Been watching your videos for a couple of weeks and loving them. Early in the process to join as a reservist, general service officer. As much relevant content as I can. Just wanted to say thanks. Okay, Remy, how old are you, mate? And I think it's important that we use... G'day, Nigel Hart. I think it's important, Remy, that we have a conversation, whether you come through the bat phone and jump on there so you and I can have conversations one-on-one, or I put you through to other Army Reserve officers so that you can ask them the question, if you could turn back time, if I could do it all again, that you could make a decision, am I making the right decision to go from what am I doing in civilian world to go over to the escape of what I'm doing in civilian world, only to take on more with the pen instead of the sword. The sword's actually behind me. It's a gladius, really. So that could save you a lot of work. But what it could also do is extend your career in the Army Reserve by decades if you go in and do what actually gives you something back. What I mean by that, that's a balance to you being some corporate job in Civilian Street, and then doing something physical about weapons, about dark humor, about getting dirty, about being one of the tribe, being able to swear, just eat meat, fart in public or in closed spaces, whatever it is. Hey, Joshy Fawns, how you going, mate? Leave from Huey, I'm a Stockton boy. What do we got? So let's look at some of the questions we've got for you. Okay, the first one is, you need to know, if you're going to come and ask me, well, should I be a soldier or should I be an officer, the very first thing I'd ask is, why are you enlisting? That's the first question I'd ask you. From there, I'd ask you, if you want to be an enlisted man, I'd go, yep, no worries, okay, no problem. Then I'd say, well, what sort of guy are you? What sort of sports do you like to watch? What sort of people do you like to hang around with? Because the Australian Army is all about the private soldier. They are the ones, the HR, it's most valuable that they are handled and given opportunities. Don't look for the perfect candidate. Look for the candidate that is there willingly with great attitude. And then you can build them with great NCOs that were once great soldiers that then got turned into NCOs, supervisors, etc. And the officer, his job is to stand the fuck away and allow the good NCOs to stay in their lane and be able to train these soldiers, test these soldiers, hold these soldiers accountable. But then the officer actually goes in there surgically and says, this is your strengths, this is your weaknesses. We need to work on your weaknesses, not your strengths, and not here to fluff your balls and make you feel good about yourself. Now, at the moment, traffic light, green light, great, orange, mid-level, work to do, red light, underperforming. Okay, so the roles and responsibilities come with the private soldier. Now you can have all the fun, none of the responsibility. Well, there is a lot of responsibility, weapons, etc. But it's all about you finishing every single thing you start. It's about you being able to always be in the middle of the pack or the top third of the pack. The bottom third will be the runt, hard to rely on, will always seem more sickly, will always have a reason, will always have an excuse, will slowly hate their job, because they're always going to be moving at a speed that is greater than what they can actually move at, or be at a higher rev limit than what they can operate on. Yep. But they have the most fun. You can say whatever you want and pretty well get away with it. Whatever you want to do and almost get away with it. Not so much for the NCO, and definitely not for an officer that can be purged just because of one thing he said in the presence of those that are above him, even if it's true what he said. It's like being a Trump supporter when your wife is a Bernie Sanders supporter or a Joe Biden supporter. I don't even think Jill Biden supports him. You're not getting sex that night, or maybe ever again. I've got an app that just keeps bouncing up and going off. So let us know now, if you were going to enlist right now, would it be as an officer or would it be as a soldier? Let us know. Remember this as well, as you're considering that. The further you progress, the further it takes you away from the reason you enlisted. And I'll explain that in a moment when we look at comments here, because your input is the most important thing here. What do we got? Okay, Remy. No, so you go down to the Black Legion and you'll be able to join under that, the Black Legion. 24 years old, good age. To answer your question, would love to get in contact, but when I checked the other day, the page was sold out. Okay, that's fine. Go back to there, go to the Black Legion, sign on. My family's out of town for a week, which means I'm open to calls. Completely open. Well, I always pretty well am anyway, other than from 2:45 in the afternoon to 6:30 at night. What do you actually do in your civilian role, mate? Very interested to know. Where are we? Lived on the SIG base before it closed in Stockton. Been in the plotting room from World War II. There was when they dug it up and cleared it and opened it up. Monty lived in the SIG base before it closed in Stockton. Did you know 130 Signal Squadron, Monty, was where I broke my virginity? It was with a woman. Her name was Michelle Noble. in the live-in quarters there. And I believe the chief of the army, Mr. Stewart, also started at 130 Signal Squadron. There you go. That grunt. G'day, Kaz. About to submit my application now. Currently in year 11. Unfortunately, won't be getting a year 12 certificate. Live in a small town from with few employment options. Any thoughts? That grunt. Again, jump on here, get involved. That grunt. Let's have a conversation. Okay, you don't need year 12 if you actually pass year 10. Remember that? And I think it's a great way to get out of a town. Joining the military has always been a great way for people to get away from the life they're in that might be dragging them one way or holding them down. Remember, when I ask you what are you for, I hope to hear things like stability, mateship, adventure, and legacy. These are the things like Anthony that I was speaking to. He's out there. Anthony, let us know if you're out there. Are you out there, Anthony? Are you out there? Anthony. Sounds like Mark Antony, the best friend of Julius Caesar, the master of horse, the fucker of Cleopatra. Sadly, their kids all got murdered. But there you go. So I spoke to him today, and he sounds like a guy that has got it down. He's 28 years old, wants to join infantry, and I reckon he's going to be fine. He sounds like a really good candidate. So know why you want to join, because when you join, as you go up the rank, there's a famous saying that Buckaroony would have heard of before, which is, in the army, we quite often get promoted one rank beyond our capabilities or limitations, which is not a good thing. That means that, like, for example, private soldier doesn't want to be a lance corporal. Lance corporal is the worst job in the army. It's like captain. Both of them suck. The Australian captain doesn't even get a fucking boat. That's confusing. But when you get to lance corporal, you take on administration. You're going, I didn't join for this. I joined for larrikinism. I joined for shooting, for going out in the jungle. But then you become a section commander, and although responsibilities go up and you've got 7 children, we like to think, because we like them being the black duckling, etc., we still have a lot of love and support for those soldiers because he's ours, and it's up to us to fix him. But that's one of the last times, as a section commander, we really want to hang on to your rank, because after that, you go to corporate, you go down, you give back to the Corps, you go back to the School of Infantry. Now you're working with special forces. Now you're working with foreign soldiers. Now you're working with every battalion, the 1st Battalion, 2nd Battalion, 3rd, the 5th Battalion, 6th Battalion, 7th Battalion, 8th, 9th. You can't hide from what your expertise is. And you're making mini versions of yourself, and they will carry your name with their teacher, their mentor, their Obi-Wan Kenobi. And after that, you'll leave with blessings and become a platoon sergeant. Now you're going to be in a completely, potentially different battalion, which I don't believe you should do. You should always go back to your same battalion, and then go back to being the platoon commander's advisor. So he's going to hold all NCOs for the rest of his life accountable on the way their first platoon sergeant is. So you'd better be the best. You better be the best, because then he'll have faith and he'll listen to the NCOs. That flows downhill, and that will be good with the soldiers. Okay. After that, the advantages stop. CSM, okay, now he's going to be a major's advisor. I don't see the advantage of being a CSM of a rifle company. It sounds good. You get a crown, it's got a box around it. I don't like it. The CSM is all about administration. He's not with the boys. He's not teaching the lads. He's surrounded 99% of the time with officers and yes men. I wouldn't want that job. The only time a CSM's job is a good job, I believe, is when he goes down and then goes back to the School of Infantry. When he's, because he's all of a sudden dislocated from every reason he ever joined the army for. He's got a bigger conversation, but at any stage, a captain or a lieutenant, depending on who's around, or a major or a lieutenant colonel or a brigadier, someone who probably hasn't touched a rifle that has actually had a real bullet in it in years, can just shut him down. No matter how much experience he's got, no matter how good he's got, he can be shut up at a moment's notice. And that's wrong. The army is held together by NCOs. The sergeant is the trade testing officer. He controls the blue books. He writes off on the qualifications of soldiers. The officer can't do that. He's not allowed to do that. He's not even qualified at a lot of the things that are getting signed off on. So I believe that the officer should stay the fuck out of training. There should be minimum amount of officers within training establishments, and the training should fall on a senior NCO. An RSM with CSMs, good ones, great ones, that come down there and are rewarded with a fantastic posting after that. It doesn't have to be money. Posting is good enough. What's going to make you stay in the Army? What's going to make your family happy as fuck? What's going to make you stay in for another 5 years? Okay, send me to the Sinai Peninsula beside the Gaza. Let me go over there to work with security. Okay, and then from there, allow me to come back, get posted to where? An Army Reserve depot at Coffs Harbour. Wouldn't that be a fantastic way to end your career? With your kids beside the beach, then buy a property. And that's you. That's a great way to reward people. An officer has to be excellent all the time. But what happens to an officer is when they're a lieutenant, they're only there for the length of the time of a fart in an elevator, and then they're gone. They're already thinking and put the speed of their promotion through DOCM, and they don't get time enough to actually become good at their trade as a lieutenant. And we love the lieutenant before he leaves. When it's time for a lieutenant to get moved on, to get posted out, to become a captain, by then the soldiers want that guy to stay. But he's already gone in 2 years, sometimes less. That's not enough. I believe that lieutenant should be a 6-year posting at least. Hey, Mr. Bright says good day. That's from Liam. So Steve Bryce is a sick boy. He's in Western Australia. His son Liam speaks on his behalf, does a fucking fantastic job, and we love him. Really, really good. Dave D, breathe through your balls. Yes, platoon commanders are with their platoons. Yes, they are. So can we get everyone to put a comment down there for Stevie Bryce and for Liam, his fantastic son, who's keeping the wheels on the machine. Naroki says good day, and he wishes you could still be here, still be with us, Kaz. Oz, I need to go back to that for a sec. It's not very often you come across someone, I believe, that you complicitly say, I wish that guy was in charge of me all the time. Dan Naroki is an RSM in the Australian Army Infantry and is one of the best men, one of the best gentlemen, one of the best leaders, all facets, and extremely, what did we say? He's a handsome man too, almost feminine, tall, but he is a patient man who's able to identify the talent in others, but also to be able to give you advice when you're having your worst day. That guy is a legend. And the way he handled himself when he had cancer, still in a professional manner, was second to none. There's another guy who's just like him, and his name is Brad Percy. Brad Percy, they broke the mold on that fella. He's younger than me, handsome, tall, athletic, strong, loving, professional, excellent leader. It would be hard for a leader, for an officer, to be beside Brad Percy and not actually be intimidated or want to get rid of him just for how good he is. The Australian Army is made up of some of the motivators that you're going to meet, and love it when you get a bad boss. Love it when you get a bad NCO, because what they do is they teach you what not to be. The best ranks in the Army is a private soldier, section commander, platoon sergeant. They are the three best ranks, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The other ranks that I believe are the best is lieutenant and major. Captain, no bueno. Lieutenant and major. But we don't allow them to show the best that they've got. I love the major rank, and I love the lieutenant rank. I love the major rank because quite often they know it's their ceiling rank, so they tend to get comfortable where they are and get very good at what they are, very confident, very calm. They understand, they slip into their role, and they're normally mature and have family as well. The lieutenant is the kind of guy like Custer. When the general says, I wonder how deep that water is, he rides the horse in gallantly, while writing a poem to a lady and brushing his hair and letting it flow in the wind, and then says, "This deep, sir." They're the guy that goes out there, lead the charge, that should want to be the fittest, that want to defeat their men in physical competition. They're the guy that's obvious why they're the commander, because the way they get around, the pompous way they're able to represent their confidence is legit. But we don't always see that. You definitely see it in a lot of infantry lieutenants, because they have to earn. Remember, the other reason why you don't want to necessarily be an officer is you don't get to choose your corps. That corps will get chosen for you. If you say you want to go to infantry, chances are you'll go to infantry. But you can't hide. When you go to infantry as a lieutenant, you're competing against some very, very high-level individuals. Just sometimes they're tampered down by either captains, majors, lieutenant colonels, or higher, that might be not intimidated, but might be put off by their brashness, or they might have to hold the way they really think, because moral courage only seems to go downwards these days. There we go. Oz. I think lieutenants should be their first place for 5 years minimum. Yes, at least a 4 year to 5 year. I'd love to know what Dan the Rocky thinks, in position with a platoon. So it goes through several cycles of platoon sergeant. So it's less about paperwork and more about the building up of a soldier and turning him into an excellent section commander. I'll retract a little bit. You become a good commanding officer by being a goddamn good lieutenant. You become a good platoon sergeant by being a goddamn good private soldier. You learn the skills down below. Stay there longer than you need to learn every lesson, to make every mistake, to learn by teaching. The best way to become the best teacher of anything is to actually teach it, because it makes you learn all the details that are in the nooks and the crannies, and then you have to be held responsible for your ability to teach and pass on knowledge to others that they couldn't find on the computer. Above the line qualifications. I plan to go for infantry at some point next year, just trying to get physically fit enough before I even send in the application. Don't do that. Don't do that. Get your fitness in order as you put your application in. Yet let your application, Tristan, become the fuel for the fire. There's inspiration, okay, and there's desperation. If you can't get enough inspiration to make you train, then make it desperation, sign the paperwork, and then shit yourself you're not going to be fit enough, and allow that to be the inspiration to get you to where you want to go. Okay, that works. Here we go. A major might spend a bit of time with their companies in field, but it's much less time and much further back, similar with lieutenant colonels as battalion commanders. Yep, they'll come in, they'll do a Kentucky tour of what's going on, and the colonel, the major, more than anything, would do anything to be able to come and put their gear back on and now use their trade to be able to come and be with the soldiers, with the lions, roaming through the grasses, getting dirty, shitting in holes, laughing, getting the opportunity to sleep on picket. Handy ham. Throwing some, what looks like sunburnt hands at me, caught red-handed. Jennifer G, g'day, buddy. Hats off to Steve Bryce. I hope you get well, mate. There you go. What have we got here? Hey, Kaz, I have my psych tomorrow. Thanks for all the tips. Rowie, go in there tomorrow and say, hey, look, when I'm not thinking about jumping off bridges, I've got a real problem working with minority groups. I can't be trusted around live weapons. Grenades have no fingerprints. Yeah. You're not going to make me work with bitches, are you? If you said that, that'd be funny. A bit of sense of humour, Tim. I don't really mean that. Good luck tomorrow. I hope you come back sane. They're going to ask you questions about what are your thoughts on taking the life of another human being. Never say, no, I couldn't do it, or you won't have a job. Remember that when you go to the army, regardless of corps team, Your job is to be able to step up, use your weapon, the tool of the trade, and take the life of another human being as you prepare for war. That is your job. If someone says, what do you do for a living in your infantry? All you need to say is to seek out and close the enemy, to kill or capture him, to seize and hold ground, or repel attack by day and night, regardless of season, weather, or terrain. My job is to prepare for war. That's my job. Oh, that sounds a bit extreme, because everyone seems to be an expert on our job, don't they? But we're not allowed to have an opinion on theirs. It's weird. Breakthrough balls. If they're good at their job, they won't put themselves where they're not needed or wanted. True, Dave, but this is where it comes back to people staying in their lane. Quite often, that the trade testing officer is the NCO at the School of Infantry, at Kapuka. What we're seeing is officers are destroying this army for one reason or another, whether it be politics, okay, whether it be for pressure from above, whether it be for quotas to get a certain amount of Indigenous, to get a certain amount of females in. You know, what's happening is we're seeing not necessarily standards just drop, which we're definitely seeing, but what we're seeing is people passing through gates they wouldn't normally have passed through academically or physically wise. And the problem with that is you're not doing her or him a favour when you do that. All you're doing is passing the problem further down the line, and then that person hitting brick walls they cannot get past, or that absolutely devastate them or shorten their career in the long run. That's disingenuous. That is not fair. Be honest with people in the military. Be honest. What do we got here? YNCO once told us to wear our webbing on backwards so our pack will fit better. Last time I'm listening to him. Mate, the only time you wear your pack on the front is when you're on a plane. My NCO told me to wear our webbing backwards. How are you meant to crawl? They'd have to have been taking the piss, wouldn't they? That's gold. Sergeant Rocky was one of my DS on Sub 1. He was absolutely brilliant, and I have the utmost respect for him. Glad to hear he beat cancer. Yeah, Jessie. Great name, by the way. I wish I had your girl, Jessie's girl, but she'd look pretty old by now, I'd guess. He is he's a guy that I wish I had more like within my ADHD fucking craziness. Yeah, really good-tempered man, but not harmless. He's a good boxer too. Doesn't look like it, but he is. Bryce, Liam, and family. Hopefully, you're all doing well. Your best to be strong. Dwayne is a fantastic dude. I talk to all the time. That's a dude. Love talking to him, and I'm looking forward to him in the next few days. Okay, wait. Jay, hey Kaz, looking to enlist, is it rough on the missus and kids? Yes and no. Another thing I'm an expert at. Where do I go wrong? I can't. I'm all over it. Jay, I'm an army brat. My dad was gone for 6 weeks, 8 weeks at a time. Think about what you get. A man's job is not to be with his fucking missus every day. His job is to be a man, to be outside an office. Men and women aren't meant to work together. A guy is meant to go away, do what it takes, come back with the bruises and the grease, put the money on the table, grab great sex, have a good chair where he gets to sit, where the family comes around. Dad, what have you been? What have you been up to? Sucking up to him as he's about to find out what they've been doing wrong while he's been away. So just remember, when you go and join the army, Jay, let's just say you go to Townsville based on Kaz's advice, press like if you can, team. What happens next is you go to Kapuka, you go to IT school, then you go to Townsville. You're going to get a 4-bedroom house that'll be better normally than the sort of house that these kids would normally get to grow up in a big country town, where the mum will have a sign-on pass that can take those kids in to the army barracks and then be able to use the facilities like the Olympic swimming pool, okay, where they can go in and go tours of the military base, where you're going to be in half-subsidised rent, where your parents are actually going to get up to 12 weeks a year off with you, so you get to see your parents during every single school holidays. It doesn't take away, it gives to you. It's just a different life. It's a lot better than not having a dad at all, that's for sure. And if you've got a mother and a father in the army, I know that's going to go. You still get to use the pool. But no, mate, it'll be fine. And it's a good question. I'm currently trying to go to Duntroon. I want to go to infantry. Okay, well, you don't get to go to infantry by going to Duntroon. They'll decide whether you go to infantry. Benny, you and I have spoken before, haven't we? If not, jump on Patreon, mate, onto the Black Legion, and you and I have a conversation as we get right through there. Okay, Duntroon, go in there, get your university. I don't understand how someone can go and get educated, loose term, at Duntroon and then basically never touch that university degree again, but then go through it. I just don't understand the concept of it. I don't understand why RMC actually has soldiers go to Duntroon or what it actually offers to anything other than a big boys club. Dave D started to have a few of my mates at one regiment leave the culture, and the chain of command is shit there. Okay, AM said, Dave D, I was talking to Dave D, started to have a few of my mates at one regiment leave as the culture and chain of command is shit there. That's sad to hear, mate. It's sad to hear. I want to hear that all volunteer servicemen and women have a great career. That's what I want to hear. You're a volunteer. You deserve all the best. If you're going as a gap, you should aim for Army officer or infantry. Again, Joshy Pritchard, come on to Patreon. Let's talk it out over a 45-minute or an hour conversation. That'll be the best price of coffee you've ever spent, mate. You know, where we can talk about everything from start to finish to get you through a coach to be able to know exactly what you want and need. Because if you make the wrong decision, you'll spend a career looking back going, I wish I'd done that. You know, choose action. Brady Carr's one of our favourite people. I joined for my role, fitter, armourer, and left as a crafty. Equipment courses were a higher priority than promotion course, and I was happy in my space. Brady's a smart man. Now, if you enjoy what you do at work, you'll never need to leave it. Never need to leave it. Things get complicated when you get promoted because everything that you join the military for now becomes way than what you want it to be because you got sucked into the vortex of promotions. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I was just doing something else there. Breathe through your balls. Wish I could. I'd do more handstands. Hey, Kaz, Kat, many civvies and ex-servicemen alike recommend to become an officer. My heart remains on going infantry. What do you think? I don't know an ex-serviceman that would ever recommend someone go and be an officer, to tell you the truth. Is it for the money? No. I would rather have the freedom. An officer doesn't get freedom in the Australian Army. Yeah. Many civvies and ex-servicemen, I wouldn't listen to a civvy. They don't know what they're talking about. They haven't done the job. You know, you can watch anything in a corporate sector and go, dude, that guy gets paid a fortune, but you don't see the fact that they're working 16 to 17 hours a day and they're attached to the wheel and the clock like no other. My heart runs on going infantry. What do you think? If you really want to go to infantry, other than using the equipment and the adventure and the brotherhood and the stability, there's no reason why you're not going to become a millionaire. As long as you know how to use your money properly, just being a soldier. Highest paid army in the world, best adventure, best mateship, best friendship. Fantastic. Don't be upset because we're in a peacetime army either, team. I'd rather be in a peacetime army than be around soldiers and friends that are in coffins. We've been very lucky not to lose more people, team. Let's get the likes up on the videos, lads. Yeah, press like if you can, team. I dare you. AM, people leave bad leaders, not organisations. Yeah, it's only a short-term solution to leave. It's like someone that can't do infantry anymore. And then they go, well, that's it, I'm getting out of the army. And then you go, but now you don't have a uniform on at all. Yeah. Elijah, nice name. Okay, did my aptitude test a couple of weeks ago, ended up unlocking all the roles. It's a bit daunting trying to pick the one for me. Any tips on choosing the right role? Well, it all comes down to your personality. Are you an alpha type guy? What do you want your normal day to look like? Do you want it to look like competitive fitness? Infantry. Engineers. Okay, do you want it to look like adventure with minimum amount of time on paperwork and computers? infantry, cavalry, armored corps, engineers. Something that has a practical, tangible requirement that cannot be overseen. Do that. If you're not quite into the rough and tumble of the guys, maybe you want to go and be signals. Maybe you like to stay in air conditioning. Maybe you want to go where the pretty girls are, again, signals. Maybe you want to go in there for the tickets, engineers or transport corps. If you want a definite job, I was speaking to Dave about this, go to Navy, go to Submariner. You'll be a millionaire before you know it. No chance to spend your money. You'll be working for Subway. As many men as you can kiss in an enclosed space. Roll your sleeves up. Love it. It's something for everyone. Pick 3 things. Ask for all 3. Make sure you go onto the defence recruiting site. And if it's got a priority role, and you put that in your 3 against 2 things that don't have a priority role, they'll put you in the priority role for Army needs. Great, Cas. Finally made a live call. Great conversation that I am very much across. I have served as a regular digger and still serve as an ARES officer. Now, that's fantastic. And we want officers to be proud of what they do. We want them to represent what they do. And the best way to do that is to be the best at something. Be there before your soldiers, be there after your soldiers. Speak to your platoon sergeant. Know when it's time to walk away and let the platoon sergeant do the yelling. Okay? Beat them at push-ups. Be fit. Have a sense of humour. Salute back to them. Ask their family. Be able to have the piss taken out of you as well. Ask serious questions like, if I'm an officer, why don't I have a horse? The first generations in history that didn't get a horse as an officer. It's not fair. It should be part of the perk. Sorry, I'm getting gassed out here. Remy, he's got to leave. Sorry, mate, need to leave as I'm busy with a family man right now. All the best to your family, son. Have a good day, and I look forward to talking to you, mate. But I'm a lab coordinator, lots of leadership and motivating people to do things they don't want to. Hopefully be in touch soon. Remy, it will be my pleasure, mate. You take it easy, get the family, give them a hug for me. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We've got to love the people of this country more than our politicians do, because they're letting us down and there's no leadership to be seen. Rollzilla. Hey, because I'm going to join the Army later next year, and I was stuck between if I should go officer or enlisted. Could you share your thoughts and expertise? I've been doing that now, mate, for 42 minutes. Again, Rollzilla, the best way that you can do it is get on now for the price of a coffee, onto the bat phone, so you and I can have an hour's conversation, and then from there work out how often we need to speak to keep you in the cockpit, so to speak. Okay, great question coming up. Nigel Hart. Hey, Cas, have you heard from Wingy? That's Wingnut, 54 years old, at Kapuka right now. Marches out on the 19th with 3 people of our channel. I will be driving down to Kapuka for the 19th of this month to go and represent you, to go and see him and the diggers, that have all just joined the Army, that are going for their enlistment ceremony. And I'm going to try and bring that to you in little things off camera without getting them in trouble on social media, so to speak. So he's doing fine. He's getting ready to do their field trip, and then he's getting ready to do the march out ceremony. So there's not many things he could fail now that could actually get him cut out other than injury. He reckons he's got some problem with his lungs at the moment, but I don't know what's going on there. Okay, here we go. Rosilla, you've got to ask yourself, what are you doing? What are your goals? What do you want to do? What do you want to get from time in service? Absolutely. Look at it from a 20-year, 30-year perspective. Great question. I've done both. How old are you? If you want to spend time on the tools, then go enlisted. If you want to lead to go officer, if you want the best of both worlds, go infantry officer. Aussie, what a fantastic answer that is right there. Aussie hasn't got it in there, but you can be an NCO, get to sergeant, and then ask through your platoon command notebooks, etc., if they would recommend you for doing a transfer over to ASWOC over to be, and they'll tell you either yes or no. But it can cause a little bit of nepotism between the ranks when you go to RMC. That might have fallen away a lot now because the Army is shifting focus a little bit, and they're actually showing a lot of appreciation to experience within the officer roles. Dave says, if you want to be an officer and want to pick your core job, your best bet is to be the best in your class, be the top 10 at least. Absolutely. It is a meritocracy within an entire crowd. Those that do not want to do certain jobs or do not perform will get put in the jobs that no one wants. Hey, Kaz, you're confusing straight done trim with those that go to ADFA. Yes. Yep. I am. Yeah, but I don't understand, the difference between the baker that goes and does the year's training now and then goes into their RBC. How does a university degree help you at all as an officer when what you're studying is not something to do with military history? That doesn't make sense to me. Why, as an officer, is there not a army or a miniatures club at RMC where soldiers, officers can go and actually do war gaming over actual battles that have happened, or as say have a major there, and 4 lieutenants on each side with the captains there as well, and actually pay modelling clubs to come up with potentially, I don't know, something like representation of military miniatures that allow them to learn lessons of the past and how decisive decision making in accordance with tactics and battlefield know-how won the day and changed the actual civilizations we have now. Because you may not realise it, but our civilization is only the way it is now, not because of politicians, only because of army officers, where they succeeded and where they failed. Okay, Teutoburg Forest. After that, we didn't see Rome going across the Danube River and making incursions into Germany anymore, which stopped the civilization of Germany at the time. Then we've seen Thermopylae. What would have happened if Persia had have actually beaten the Spartans after that, the Battle of Thermopylae, and Xerxes had gone on to win, and now we were all under the influence of the Persians. Look at World War II. What happens if Hitler had have failed? Won, and not been pushed into an attack on the Soviet Union, on Russia, and then it actually defeated, France and Britain and America hadn't come into the war. Now, all of these things, it's incredible. What if, what's his name? I am Spartacus. What if Spartacus had have won, and the slaves had overtaken Rome? Would have been crazy. Yeah, here's an interesting question. Hey, because there are benefits in being 6'3" in infantry. There's definitely benefits for the sniper of the enemy. You're going to stand out a little bit more over the hill. There's not many advantages, but you'll look good on the dance floor and you'll get the girls over the long run. Okay. I'm starting to get a little bit lost in the comments here. Been just over a year since I applied. My case manager is awesome, but the people higher up making decisions like to take their time. Yeah, and I don't understand what's happening, Connor. I really don't understand what's happening. It sounds like the best of the Australians are getting sort of pushed down from being the best that they can be. It doesn't make sense to me. This is a good question. Waffle. Are there introverts in the army? Yes, there is, but you won't get the choice to be an introvert. If you're an introvert, I'll tell you, man the fuck up and communicate where you're required to. You can get to be an introvert while you're a private. You won't get to be an introvert when you're an NCO. It doesn't mean you don't have. I'm not saying it's about trying to be the loudest guy in the room, but I'm saying you're going to have to step up and show your communication, your ability to communicate with others, to pass on information, to teach people, You're not doing it because you like to do it, want to do it. You do it because it's your role and your responsibility. You have to do it. Yep. As a private soldier, absolutely, we have the quiet guys. Absolutely. There's quiet guys of every rank. There is. But sometimes a lot of those guys waffle, get passed over. They get passed over. They don't get the rewards they deserve because no one realises they're there. Okay, Brycey. Going to say goodnight as Daddy's struggling to stay awake. Mr. Bryce, we will watch the remainder of the stream tomorrow. My dad's rested up. Thanks for the nice comments. Dad really does appreciate them. And we appreciate him. Senior NCO of the Royal Australian Regiment. Absolutely love to have him here, and we're lucky to have him here. Wait 2 seconds, team. This is my family. Hey, hello.
Hi, I'm saying goodnight.
Okay, how are you going in the Gold Coast?
Good.
Yeah, you having a really, really good night?
Yeah.
What's on tomorrow?
I'm driving the hour to the mum's friend's house.
Ah, yep.
On an island.
Okay, beautiful. Well, that's more than I'm doing. I'm going to be cleaning the house and hugging the dog.
Dad.
Yeah. The fish tank. Oh, I've got to ring William, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I love you.
Can you try to do it tomorrow?
I will try to do it tomorrow, okay? I'll send him a message as soon as I get offline, okay?
Okay.
I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Send me photos.
Bye. Bye.
Sorry, Tim, you deserve to know that I'm a family man, that I love my kid. And that's what it's all about, is those that are around us. Life is about people. It's not about what you own. Yep. And that came at a good time for Mr. Bryce as well. Okay, so how many kilometres would you recommend that I should be running per week in preparation for Singleton? Ash, it's not about how many kilometres you run, mate. It's all about metrics, time. Can you run 5 kilometres without stopping? How long does it take you? Okay, how fast can you run 2.4 kilometres? Get that down. It's all about, what would we say? It's all about your times on the board. I'm running out of batteries, team. Can you see it coming down? It's all about, it's all about your scores, mate. Holy shit, I didn't realise there was that many comments. Max Edits, we'll have a look at you. Sorry, guys, if I've missed any good ones. If I miss your comment, simply click and paste it, put it back in again. Okay, breathe through your balls, not sure, but needed 15 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, 7.5 on the beat. Got 21 push-ups, that's not enough. Max, 41, okay, 7.5. Guys, when you go for your PFA, try your absolute hardest because you're not there to impress or just pass the test of the PDIs. You're there to show the other people that are likely to be in your platoon who you are. Never let them see you doing the bare minimum ever. Always do the maximum. Brady, if anything deserves the WAFTAM term, it would be an officer. It would have to be the officer gap year, closely followed by gap year. There you go. The standard ARES officer training course is far superior to officer gap year. I wouldn't know. I never taught the gap year officer. I did teach the officers in Singleton, Army Reserve, and regular. Hey, Kaz, would you recommend joining before or after uni? I'd say, looking to do med or computer science at University of New South Wales will take at least 4 years to finish. I would say whatever you do at Army Reserve will make you a better version of what you're doing at university. What I would say is do not become an officer or you will your university degree. You will not be able to do both, a university degree and an officer, because both of those, an education system that's going to have you gone for sometimes a month at a time, and doing extracurricular activities that should be spent on university. If you're going to go and be an Army Reserve soldier, then definitely do that while you're doing your university degree. That will give you a fantastic escape from the books, from the computer, etc. Pritchard, job as a paramedic after the gap year. And that's why I wasn't too psyched on applying for the full course. Mate, paramedics, they're my favourite people in the world. They're angels on the street. They really are. They really are. Venom says, what thing to take Kapuka that's not on the list? I don't know, mate. If it's not on the list, it's not important. You can buy it once you actually get there. A good set of clothes to go out with. A couple of packets of Chico Baby stuffed into a spare pair of leather shoes. Other than that, there's not much. You can buy everything at Kapuka, or Singleton, or wherever you get posted to, man. Happy chat is what I did. The selection of the Special Forces officers and extra components like QDEs, quick deduction exercise, etc. are well worth it, though. Ben Happy chat is what I did, says IT Sharks. The selection for Special Forces officers and extra components like quick deduction exercise, etc. well worth it. Yep. Talk to those that have been through it, and they'll let you know. Hey, here's someone we haven't seen forever. This is one of the best people that served in cavalry and became a tanky. I thought tankies are your favourite people. This is Scotty Healy, one of my favourite Red Force components. The last time we competed, we never got to compete over girls, but we did get to compete in the Great Range Brigade, where we stood up and went and did a BFA against each other. This guy doesn't look like a fit guy, but he grew up as a runner. His brother looks like Simon Powell, but this guy, when I ran, I was always a runner, not because I was skillful, but because I just tried my hardest. He stayed on my tail, the entire time. I couldn't shake him. And at the end, although I'd beat him, yes, I beat him. I was never going to let him win. And that was hot that day, my friend. But when we finished, the vomit that came out of me was something out of exorcism. And he loved it. He took the win. And he'll always know the only thing we competed in was jaffle making, where he won, but then I beat him in the BFA. So overall, infantry beats cav, like it should be. As Carl says, take a good attitude. And let me say something else. There is a massive activity that's about to start in northern Queensland this weekend, leaving on Friday, disembarkation. What's it called, Carl? Something Shield. Something Shield. And it goes for about 16 days or so. We've just found out that someone else on the channel, that one group is getting sent to Tully instead. So instead of going up and mixing it with the rest of the war games that are happening, they're just getting sent to Tully. That's gold. Gold. For those that don't know, Tully is a nightmare. It's the thickest jungle in the world, thicker than the Amazon, especially since the cyclones hit it, took away all of the canopy and allowed the mosquitoes and the underbrush to grow up. It's a son of a bitch there. It really is. Kaz, I met a 2CR fellow at the party last Saturday night named Dan. Sounds familiar. I don't know who 2CR, or do you mean 2CRs, Engineer Regiment, fellow to pay last night? I don't know anyone's first name pretty much in the entire army. We don't go by first names, breathe through your balls, sorry. We all go Austral Shield, that's it. We go by nicknames. I'm going as a general service officer. What metrics will you need to pass to get infantry officer preference? All you need to be is decisive. Decisive decision maker. You need to be an alpha individual. And everything you do needs to be about mateship. About this is where you get to immerse yourself in maximum mateship, helping others. When you get the job of section commander, step up to it, be the best you can be. Everything you do, you need to be the gung-ho guy, and they're going to go, that guy's infantry, let him do it. Never listen to music again. Now listen to podcasts, things like Dan history. Listen to Roman history, all that sort of shit. So when people talk to you, when your conversation is geared around tactics and leadership, then naturally they're going to say, this guy's the right guy for the job. When you're not doing that, it should be fitness. And when you're not doing that, it should be drinking red wine, eating olives, and wooing the women. Oh, Kaz, How would you compare meeting women in civvy life and whilst enlisted? In civvy life, it's almost impossible. It seems like that all they care about is how much you're on. You're invisible to the normal woman. They seem sad as fuck these days. You don't meet very many happy women. And as soon as you talk, it gives away your politics. And I think there's never been a greater chasm between men and women, despite the fact that the responsibility only falls on one gender to put the world back together when it falls apart. I've got a whole opinion on who should and shouldn't be allowed to vote, but that's a debate in itself, and maybe you want to hear it or maybe you don't. Where it's completely different is when you're in the military, because you're playing a character type. You're playing a celebrity. You're playing their dream guy, their dream bad guy. You're not just someone with tattoos. You're someone with a uniform that actually says this guy's the real walk, the real talk. The people that hate you the most are the girls that have had the most experience with you. When someone says to you when you're in the army, "Oh, I couldn't date an army guy," you go, "What is it? Is it about the adventure? Is it about going out with someone who's going to offer you a different lifestyle?" I'm not asking to put a ring on your finger. I'm saying come out with me on a couple of dates unless you're scared. I'll pay for the dinner. You made it a challenge now. Why don't you sign on and be my girlfriend for one fucking month? You and I will be like a married couple, except we'll have sex on week 3. So then you make a great friend for 1 month. At the end of that month, she's not going to trade you in. She'll want you, and she'll want you to leave your boots on too, because they like that sort of weird shit. Women love different. Different is better than good. Keeps them guessing. They love it, and they love the drama. In preparation of my assessment day in a week, I'm going to have a chat with one of my neighbours who served in infantry. What are some questions I can ask him that will be valuable for me? Okay. Righto. How long should they? What's the best place to get posted to? Do you know in the trenches with Kaz? Those sort of questions. If you're going to talk to your neighbour, why don't you get on here and talk to me instead? The subject matter expert that actually has a channel who does this for a living. That doesn't make sense. Have a conversation with him about it. But you should come to me and we have a big chat. And then from there, you have an ongoing conversation where you sound like you know some of the terms. But what I'd recommend is you learn how to express yourself. Absolutely learn the role of the infantry, because that's one of the most important things. If you can't read out the role of the infantry, say that's not what I want the rest of my life to look forward to, preparing for war around other people who are also preparing for war, which gives you your fitness, it gives you your presence, it gives you a conversation, it gives you a vested interest in politics. There's nothing better than being in infantry. 9 years out, and I love it more now than the day I was in. Aaron, the recruit system needs a big overhaul. Just recently had a successful interview at a Brisbane DFR centre, and my gosh, the amount of vape and ciggy breaks was insane, some having multiple an hour. Yeah, I believe there should be no smoking in the army. No smoking, no vaping. It goes completely against the fitness requirements that we need. So you can't roll your sleeves down in infantry because you could get cancer, but you're allowed to have a cigarette while you tell me. That'd be like the fucking dumb cop that rides his motorbike in between cars, looking in a car with no seatbelt on. If that doesn't confuse the shit out of you, what's going on? Or the policeman that puts down his mobile phone while he's in his car so that he can put the lights on to go and book someone for having a phone in their hand, which he had in his hand a couple of seconds earlier, giving a $400 parking ticket, or tickets to people where there is no victim. There should always be a victim, or it's not a crime. It's not a crime. There we go. For those that don't believe that, the infantry is for smart guys. Johnny Diggs is now a doctor, unlike Jill Biden. Very fun times being a grunt. This guy's now a doctor. Before I got on the phone, before I got in here tonight, I spoke to a guy called Benny. Benny was with me in Rwanda. Benny is now a scientist, an acclaimed scientist. We've got guys who at the right now on Kokoda Trail. who are doing Kokoda at 50 years old, who are in corporate sectors in Canberra. Some of the smartest people I know come from infantry. You know, infantry is a fantastic way to look back and say, I lived my life. Had a minor injury that halted my training, but I'm back on my horse again. Just waiting for a call to book my medical and psych. Judah. I like that. Let's have another talk again soon, my man. Guys and gals, do we have anything else we want to talk about? We've been on here for an hour and 5 minutes, which means that officially turns people away when they see it goes over an hour. So we might as well start for another 5 minutes. I did watch the presidential debate, Breathe Through Your Balls. I did. And I'd say that Mr. Biden's in very, very dangerous territory if he keeps saying he's not going to step down, because his party will find a solution one way or another. Benny Bradford. Hey, Kaz, I want to join Patreon. Where do I go and when can I get the phone call? I want to go to Duntroon and go through as an infantry officer afterwards, but I also want to try the ADF Combat G. Combat G. I'm not sure what that is. What you can do is the Patreon link is in the remarks to this video. Okay, every video I've done, you want to coach, you just tick on the link, go through, go to the Black Legion, and when the message comes through to here, we've already got one here from Jay. He'll be getting his message tomorrow morning. I'll send that through to him, his greeting message. If you're there, you'll also be getting yours. And then I'll send that message on there with the bat phone number. Then all you simply do is bring up the text the bat phone number like the instruction will say, and even tomorrow I can talk to you. It's that simple. I love it. Come on there, have a good time like I did with Anthony today. We have a good laugh as well. You'll appreciate it. Sorry, I meant this one. Kaz, what are your thoughts about joining the army after finishing year 10? To me, it's too early, but I don't know you. And Aussie, I don't know what you're running away from. Maybe you're big for your age, mature for your age, had a tough upbringing, have a fantastic father. Or maybe it's the other way, and you need to get the hell out of Dodge before you go further, downhill. Mate, most of the time I would say it's too early. But at the same time, I wouldn't say waste. If you pass year 10, I'd say apply for the army, stay at school, look at the pretty girls, eat the pies and the sausage rolls at school, and do that until you get a yes and an enlistment date. Okay? That's what I'd say. Until you get an enlistment date, stay at school. Because you're not paying bills then. There is no rush. You've got to do it properly, man. Here we go. No such thing as a dumb digger anymore. Our army is too small in our intelligence. That makes the best small army in the world. It's just sad that we're not being met by a HR department recruiting that is meeting with the same sort of professionalism. So, what's it? How you tell me how do you manage your relationship while you are serving, please? How do you manage your relationship? Quite easy. Yana Lowett. How do you manage your relationship? If you meet someone in a bar and they were drunk when you met them, and the sex is crazy, then chances are they're probably not a keeper. Okay? When you're in a relationship, you shouldn't have a problem. You shouldn't have a jealousy and all of that if you're with the right person. If you respect them and you've got someone, who respects you, and they understand that this is the best way that you can put food on the table, so be it. Once you have trust in a relationship, and you're mature. How old are you, Yana? Female, I take it. I've never seen someone join the military as a female and not a partner, because they've got nothing in common with them anymore. They normally go for someone who is in the military. Yeah. It's a video in itself, to tell you the truth. It's an interesting one. 20. Okay, very young. So chances are whoever you're with is not your life partner anyway. How old are they? Out of curiosity. The army is my girlfriend. That is how I manage it. She tells me what to do. The army is my girlfriend. There you go. Hey, when are we going to talk again? When are we going to talk again? I love you, mate. He's a guy I count as brother, even though he's from Armoured Corps. Scotty. Yep. Hey, Kaz, for people joining infantry, how long until you can apply for SF? It's once you get in, I'd say don't try and do it before your private P. I would say once you're private P, a year after you've been in, okay, you'll know what you can do, what you can't do, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and time to work on those. A Special Forces junket will come around and do a recruiting drive. Then from there, you can apply for it. They should give you the opportunity if you've been meeting the requirements within your platoon, within your troop, etc. And then from there, you go for it if they give you the recommendation. Okay, Dwayne says, it's been great tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't had joined, just do it. He's talking about Patreon. Call Kaz, one of my favourite people to talk to, top down to earth dude with a lot of knowledge. I think the reason why I'm cool to talk to without putting a feather in my own cap is I don't have a filter team. When you come and talk to me, you're going to get some dark humour. I'll give you 100 points straight up that you can converse like a human being and that you have a psyche that you can take reality, because that's what we need you to do, take reality by the horns. The Zulu, recommend talking to Kaz. He has all the answers you need, not to mention he's a top bloke and a funny bugger. There you go. Someone of colour, the Zulu. I used to be the platoon sergeant of the Zulus in Townsville. Yeah, you know that? Zulu, a very successful warrior breed. Fitness has to be elite and you have to think outside of the box and manage a number of tasks at once. This is how you know you're ready for SF. It is. It's how you relate to anxiety, how you relate to depravity, how you relate to adversity. Gets you, you're not going to make it through. Because Special Forces training, the reason why they do so much physical is to break you down, to make your mind vulnerable, to being played with. And from there, they will play with it like a ADHD child with Play-Doh or human shit. And then from there, they'll turn you inside out until you quit or until you keep going. I'm going to go. I'm running out of steam. In conclusion, the best ranks in the Australian Army are the private soldier, the section commander, and the platoon sergeant. Because they're all the guy at the bottom has the most amount of fun and gets away with the most shit. The section commander has 7 soldiers that are his new family, and he gets to turn them into super versions of himself, where he's responsible for how good they are. If you're a shit soldier, I look at your section commander and I hold him accountable when I'm the sergeant. The sergeant means I have the final say. The final say with the platoon commander behind closed doors as well, a lot of the time, because I control the platoon commander's reputation. He doesn't. The platoon sergeant holds that as a trade testing officer, and the man that knows the secrets and the man that knows everyone in the battalion, and a lieutenant can't walk up to the CO and just talk to him, but the platoon sergeant can. He can also talk to the RSM. Lieutenant, an amazing rank. An amazing tactical rank. He's not administration. He's a tactical commander. He's responsible for the penmanship, freehand, not typed, that goes on the death of a soldier's letter to his family. And they need to remember that. Okay? He's the guy that has to make the decision that even to be successful, he has to be prepared to lose your life and potentially his own. Okay? Captain, shit job. Okay, unless they're at the School of Infantry, then it's a great job. Go to platoon team. The next is major, not as good as lieutenant. He's not down in the trenches with the soldiers, but he's unsupervised and has 100 soldiers command and 3 platoon commanders, and he has a big part of the conversation tactically, within that organisation. And regardless of fucking politics, regardless of internal battalion politics, he can make Alpha Company, Bravo Company, Charlie Company, he can make that an area inside an enclave within a battalion where people aren't happy, still a paradise. The better your commander is, the better he'll be looked on by the commanding officer, the better tasks he will get, and he will be shielded from the shit tasks. Always remember that. So with that, understand why you're joining, understand that we go one rank beyond our ability to do, and the money is not worth it. It will take you away and the paperwork from the very reasons you joined the military. Ask yourself why you're joining. Is something worth dragging me away from that? And time spent in rank for prolonged periods of time can only be a goddamn good thing. One of the best souls you'll ever meet in your life is named Jason Harrison. He worked at the 2nd Battalion for God knows how many years, 30 years. Worked for me at one stage, knows more than me about everything. And he is one of the best men, one of the best soldiers I've ever met in my goddamn life, and he refused rank all the way. Got another guy called Cookie, gave up being a sergeant to go back and be a sniper and became a fantastic sniper. Amazing guy. Guys, it's not how much you get paid, it's how much you live this life, and this life is about people. Choose your position, own the position, and be the goddamn best at it. That's what I say to you. I want you to have a good life. I'd read another question, but then we'll get caught back in the woods, and this stroke will end up taking me down. Take it easy. Don't shit the bed. And remember, I'd rather you have one friend that you can be honest to than 10 that you live in a land of lies. Think of our world as a population of 100 within a village, not 27 million, about to be inundated by another 500,000 immigrants. In a village of 100, you cannot hide behind the truth. Your reputation, your legacy means everything, and it should in this life too. So be yourself, be real, and remember your father and your forefathers are watching from somewhere, and they're judging you on what you do in this lifetime. Enjoy it. Don't be held back by people that are too scared to say the truth. Don't think, but what happens if I get caught? I'm not talking about doing something illegal. Be a fucking man. Take the reins. Subscribe to yourself. Make yourself the best channel. Right. And then I'll subscribe to you. See you later. Take it easy. Peace to your mother. And to all those about to go on Austral Shield, awesome. Go out there, learn about yourself, be the best version of yourself, because every story becomes a chapter in a book that one day you can use that as a legacy to show family, to show children, to mentor others and say, I'm not just about words, I'm about deeds. And that all started with signing a dotted line. What do we got there? Senor D. Mate, Nutsukow, thank you very much for keeping the wheels on the machine. He's a big man, but he's also got a big heart to hold it. So take it easy, guys. Mucho respecto. Thanks to D. Thanks to all you guys that gave your time tonight. And remember, in this lifetime, like Russell Crowe says, your deeds will echo in the afterlife. So do something. Don't be fucking boring. All right. Bye. Make your life matter. Drag someone with you. Make their life matter too, because we're never meant to be alone. See ya.